This is BBC News. Welcome, whether you're watching here in the UK or around the globe. I'm Jane Hill. Our top stories this hour. Allies of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say he will delay discussions about controversial judicial overhaul to next month, following widespread anti-government protests.
I therefore declare Humza Yousaf duly elected as the Scottish National Party leader.
Humza Yousaf is succeeding Nicola Sturgeon. He becomes the new leader of the SNP, the Scottish National Party, and quite possibly Scotland's next First Minister.
The people of Scotland need independence now more than ever before, and we will be the generation that delivers independence for Scotland.
Prince Harry makes a surprise appearance at a High Court hearing in London. He's among several high-profile figures bringing a privacy case against the publisher of the Daily Mail newspaper. Hello and a very warm welcome to BBC News. We will turn our attentions just in a moment to lots that is happening in Israel and, of course, regarding the leadership of the Scottish National Party. But before we address those stories, just to bring you some breaking news coming out of the United States in the last few minutes, we are hearing of a shooting at a school in Nashville. Now, according to everything we're hearing on the Reuters news agency, among others, this is an ongoing situation. The local fire department there in Nashville. There you see the tweet, in fact, from Nashville's fire department says it is an ongoing situation with, as you can see, regrettably there, multiple patients, as that tweet puts it. Multiple victims is what some local media are saying. Now, of course, we don't know whether that is people who have simply been injured or whether it is worse than that. It is an ongoing situation, so we will very much keep you up to date. And you can see just from the way the fire department is writing its tweet there, asking parents to go to a specific address and not to go to the school itself. So this is a school in Nashville, Tennessee. Burton Hills Boulevard Covenant School. It's such early days in this. I've not even been able to look up, I'm afraid, to see whether this is a primary or a secondary school. So we don't know what age of children we're talking about here either. But of course, we will endeavour to find that out and bring that to you. But it is clearly a developing situation. So we will doubtless have more on that over the course of the hour. We'll keep an eye on that. Sadly, it appears a school shooting there in Nashville in the United States. We will get more details on that and bring those to you. But right now, of course, we will turn to the major international story here today, and it is the continuing febrile situation, really, in Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will delay discussions about those proposals to change the judiciary. He'll delay discussions until next month. Now, that is according to his far-right coalition member party, Jewish Power. So that is just one group that is saying that at the moment. But if you've been following this, you will know that strike action is spreading across the country. There's been strike action. There's been mass protests in a number of cities. Many thousands of people out on the streets. These pictures, in fact, from Jerusalem, I'm told this is the latest protest in favour of Benjamin Netanyahu's proposal, supporting what he wants to do. But we have seen enormous protests in a number of cities, not just here in Jerusalem. Shops, banks, hospitals have been closed. People have been walking out on strike. Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport, effectively shut, really. I mean, people refusing to work, flights cancelled until further notice. Two main seaports, Haifa and Ashdod, people have stopped work there. Local councils, school holiday camps saying that they simply are not going to operate. And it is people across the political spectrum who have taken issue with these far-reaching proposals that Benjamin Netanyahu has put forward. You'll know, I'm sure, that he sacked his defence minister on Sunday because the defence minister said the judicial changes should be halted. And so we have seen protests, pro and anti, across the country, but an enormous turnout, real strength of feeling on both sides. Let's hear from our Middle East correspondent, Tom Bateman, first of all, who sent this report from Jerusalem. Just to bring you up to date again, bring you a little bit more what we know of the situation, the developing situation in Nashville in Tennessee in the United States. At the top of the hour, we were explaining that there's a shooting at a school there in the city of Nashville. Just to bring you up to date, because the Nashville Police Department has now told the media that the person doing the shooting, we know nothing about them yet, but is now dead. You can see, in fact, there's the tweet from the police department. The shooter was engaged by the police department and is now dead. So again, that is as much as we know on that. We know in the last 10 minutes or so that the fire department was saying that it was regrettably having to deal with victims. We don't know whether they meant people who were injured or worse than that. We wait to find out. There is clearly a lot more to develop, but the police there clearly confident that the perpetrator of this attack is now dead. We'll keep you up to date. More to come clearly from Nashville. Now, the pro-independence SNP, the Scottish National Party, has chosen Humza Yousaf as its new leader. He narrowly defeated the party's finance secretary, Kate Forbes, in the final round of voting. He took just over 52% of the vote there, as you can see. Kate Forbes taking nearly 48%. It means that Humza Yousaf will replace Nicola Sturgeon as party leader. That takes effect immediately. He doesn't actually become Scotland's first minister until a vote by all MSPs that is due to take place tomorrow. Well, speaking after the announcement in Edinburgh, Humza Yousaf said he is a proud Scot and the luckiest man in the world, taking the helm of a party that he has supported all his life. Ian Blackford, I'm sorry we don't have longer, but appreciate you joining us so quickly here on BBC News. Thanks very much, Ian Blackford, former SNP Westminster leader. Much more on that to come on a big day in Scottish politics, of course. But before we leave you at this juncture, just to bring you up to date, because we started this hour talking about the febrile situation in Israel, we are hearing that Benjamin Netanyahu is due to make a statement of some sort a little after the top of the hour. So in around about 40 minutes time, we are told these live images from Jerusalem are people actually supporting his proposals to reform the judiciary. But we know, of course, as we've been reflecting, many thousands of people out on the streets in different Israeli cities, very angry about those proposals. You're watching BBC News.
As fighting continues in Ukraine, join our team for the latest developments.
The Russian lines are very close. In fact, we're hearing they're just maybe a kilometre away.
See the headlines as they happen with breaking news alerts in the app and get the full story with bbc.com/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.
This is BBC News. Welcome, whether you're watching here in the UK or around the globe. I'm Jane Hill. Our top stories. Allies of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say he will delay controversial plans to overhaul the court system following widespread anti-government protests.
I therefore declare Humza Yousaf duly elected as the Scottish National Party leader.
Humza Yousaf is expected to succeed Nicola Sturgeon as Scotland's First Minister after he won the SNP's leadership election.
The people of Scotland need independence now more than ever before, and we will be the generation that delivers independence for Scotland.
Multiple casualties have been reported after a shooting at a school in Nashville in Tennessee in the US. In the last few minutes, the police department has said the shooter is dead. Prince Harry has made a surprise appearance at a High Court hearing in London. He's among several high-profile figures bringing a privacy case against the publisher of the Daily Mail newspaper. And just to bring you those few details we have about that shooting in Nashville in Tennessee in the United States, to reiterate, in the last perhaps 5-10 minutes or so, the police department has said that the shooter inside the school is now dead. However, the emergency services at the scene have for some time been saying that there are regrettably casualties. Now, we still don't have many more details than that. We don't know whether casualties means people who are injured or regrettably whether it might mean worse than that. Simply, the police department has told us that the shooter himself is dead. I say himself, that is an assumption in itself, but the shooter is dead. Parents, anyone who has children at that school has been asked to go to a different address, not to go to the school itself. We don't have any detail on numbers, however many people might be injured. We simply don't know. We don't know the ages of anyone who might be injured. There is a lot more still to emerge. We're trying to find out more details for you, but multiple people being treated, multiple casualties. That is what we are being told by the emergency services. We'll bring you more on that as we get it. Details really quite slow to emerge there from the situation in Nashville. We'll keep an eye. But right now we'll pause, we'll take a breath. We will catch up with all the very latest sports news because that comes from Ben Croucher at the BBC Sports Centre. Hello, Ben.
Hello there, Jane. He's been one of Scotland's star players for the best part of a decade, but Stuart Hogg is calling time on his rugby union career. He'll retire from the sport after the World Cup in France later this year. You're up to date, Jane. Plenty more on the BBC Sport website and app.
Thanks so much, Ben. Thank you, Ben Croucher there with all your latest sports news. Now, the wildlife charity, the RSPB, Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, says oiled birds have been spotted around Poole Harbour, a site of special scientific interest in Dorset on England's southern coast. This comes after a pipeline from a nearby oil field leaked on Sunday. A major incident was declared after the equivalent of 200 barrels of reservoir fluid, which contains oil, spilt from the oil field into the water. Poole Harbour is a protected area and it's recognised as an internationally important wetland. So now the impact on wildlife in the area is of considerable concern. Let's talk to the Chief Executive of the Dorset Wildlife Trust, Brian Blease, who joins me. Welcome to BBC News. How concerned are you? How much do you know at this stage, Brian? Brian Blease, thanks very much for now. Thank you, who is the Chief Executive of the Dorset Wildlife Trust. Thank you very much following that oil leak there on Sunday. Now, we will return to the situation in the United States in Nashville to bring you as much as we can right up to date with another school shooting in the United States. This is an elementary school, and the New York Times, I have to stress it is only the New York Times at the moment, but a paper of record, of course, the New York Times saying that it believes that at least 3 children have been killed in that school shooting, an elementary school in Nashville in Tennessee. The police department said about half an hour ago that the shooter is dead, but nonetheless, the New York Times saying it believes at least 3 children have been killed in, sadly, yet another school shooting in the United States. Let's talk to a reporter for public radio in the area. Paige Fuega joins me, who is with WPLN News, Nashville Public Radio. Paige, a desperate situation. Bring us up to date with what you understand to be the situation at the school there. All right, Paige, for now, thank you very much. We may well come back to you when there is more information. Paige Fuego there, who is with Nashville Public Radio. Now let's talk a little bit more about that news that Humza Yousaf has been elected the SNP leader, the Scottish National Party's new leader. He won with 52% of the vote of party members. Kate Forbes, the runner-up, secured very nearly 48%. The third candidate in the race, Ash Regan, was eliminated in the first round. Humza Yousaf is expected to be confirmed as Scotland's First Minister by the Scottish Parliament tomorrow. Let's discuss the significance of his election. Alastair Grant joins me, political editor of The Scotsman. Hello to you, Alastair. a relatively close result in the end between the ultimate winner and Kate Forbes. What do you make of that? What sort of legacy does that mean? Alex Salmon, thank you very much. We have to leave it there. But many thanks for joining us tonight.
Great
here
pleasure.
on
Thank you.
BBC News. Now, the US Red Cross has begun delivering help to the survivors of the tornado, which has effectively destroyed the small town of Rolling Fork in Mississippi. At least 25 people died when winds at 320 kilometres an hour swept across the area on Friday. President Biden has promised federal disaster aid. Sophie Long sent this report.
Sophie Long, BBC News, Mississippi.
And you can go up to date with all those stories on the BBC website. Bye for now.